Hello, maurieo. Engineering, Design and Drawing. MG5005. Session 3. Drawing Standards. Hello, hello. Welcome to this another session on the Engineering, Design and Drawing. So here we are at the dashboard. So let's go to Engineering, Design and Drawing, and we enter into Session 3. Now, prior to Session 3, we've asked you to review the drawing standard resources below and to write out a question about those resources. So we'll be expecting questions from you, hopefully written out, that we can answer. Just a quick look at the resources tells us that they are a whole series of drawing standards and some notes about drawing standards. Whenever we draw anything, there's usually some sort of standard that we have to work to. And quite often these standards are expressed as standards like this. So these are the Australian New Zealand standards, the New Zealand standards. There are English standards, American standards. There's standards from everywhere. So we must be quite sure as to what standard it is that we're working to. And so in that regard, I'd ask that you just have a bit of a review of these particular standards, which are relevant to engineering, design and drawing, civil engineering in this case, in some cases, or electrical engineering or mechanical engineering. All types of engineering have some standards that affect them in one way or another. So it's important that we have an understanding of this and that we learn to seek out standards whenever we're going to draw something, so that we know what standards we're supposed to be working to, so that we don't have to do rework further down the track when we find out that we're perhaps not working to the right standard or something of that nature. So yes, let's get there. So this is session 3 in Moodle. Here's the video that we're recording right at this moment. The session plan and the session notes. So let's have a look at the session notes, and here we have the session notes here. They come in the form of a PowerPoint presentation which we can open, and we can take a slideshow from the beginning. That being the beginning, we've seen that already, so we can move on straight away to the session plan. So this session is in two parts. The first part, you come in and sign the register. If you don't sign the register, you're not here. And then we do an intro to the session, to both parts, and then once that's complete, continue with assignment work and obtain individual tutor feedback based on our work and what have you. The second part, later in the week, again, sign the class register, a brief introduction, a Q&A session, so lots of questions please, and then continue with work on assignment and continue with tutor feedback on a one-to-one or group basis. Okay, so on successful completion of this session, you should have examined your approach to learning, just a little bit of a think about how you learn. Continue to develop your CAD skills by following through the basic 2D CAD program. Updated your diary, of course, and refined a work program for the tennis ball launcher, which means you've got together with your team and decided who's going to do what, when and where. And you should now be aware of drawing standards, what might be in them, how they affect what you do, and how you should go about finding out about them before you start drawings. You should also have a good understanding of what you're going to do, what your program for this week is, and what hopefully you'll get done before next week. Alrighty, so here we have this beautiful pearl in an oyster, a thing of beauty created naturally, but not without some turmoil along the way or a little bit of irritation and confusion. So let's have a look at how this wonderful natural pearl is formed. Well, first up, the in the mantle of the oyster a foreign body, a piece of grit, an irritant, is either introduced or makes its way into the oyster. The oyster then forms layers of nacre around it, and form that around the pearl, layer after layer after layer. Those layers get more of them, and the pearl gets bigger and bigger until eventually it breaks away and forms a separate sort of entity, which is the pearl. So without the little bit of grit or the irritant in here, the beautiful pearl does not form. And so we say, no grit, no pearl. It's the grain of sand in the oyster that creates the pearl. And this is analogous to to learning. The pearl is learning, the wisdom, the final finished product, or the information or the knowledge that you gain. However, along the way, you need the grain of sand. The irritant is there, it's most important. So this is an analogy for when we learn, there is a little bit of irritation there. It's fun. Learning is fun. The outcome is a beautiful thing. But sometimes, along the way, there are little things that irritate us, that annoy us, that confuse us. These are the grain of sands. But without those things, we don't get the whole beautiful pearl formed in its entirety, and we cannot appreciate the full beauty of it. So, in terms of learning, be prepared for things to not go quite according to plan. Be prepared to be irritated, confused, and what have you, because these are part of the process, and these are what make the attainment of the goal so much better. So, in terms of your learning, remember, it's the sand in the oyster that creates the pearl. No pain, no gain, and 100 other slogans all represent this thing, that learning is a thing of beauty, but the road to that is sometimes a little treacherous, a little irritating, a little annoying. So don't forget that as you go along, that it's not a smooth road. Sometimes there are little roadblocks along the way that you have to overcome, and it's in overcoming those that the beauty of what you learnt is realised. Okay, now let's have a look at the tennis ball launcher. 2 weeks until launch. Only 2 more weeks. So that's this week, and then next week after, you'll be launching your tennis ball, hopefully, and completing that project. Okay, now the tennis ball launcher, let's not forget, it's a vehicle for you to demonstrate your understanding of the design process. So make sure you follow all the steps of the design process, that you record all the steps of the design process, how you followed the process, and how that applies. That is the purpose of the assignment, the design process. The fact that you can toss a tennis ball more than 100 meters is a major thing, but the point of the exercise is to use that to demonstrate the design process. Use that to illustrate how perhaps your first attempt was 60 meters and how you tweaked and improved things to make it up to 100. That is the design process. That is what you're trying to show with this assignment. Okay, is your diary up to date? Have you reflected on what you've done? Have you evaluated what you've done? Have you actually filled in what you've done on your diary each week? Make sure you keep your diary up to date, that it's live, that you're using it to predict or try and predict in the future what you're going to do. Keep a comprehensive diary of this subject, this paper, so that you can evaluate and look and get the most out of your learning. And perhaps if adjust as you go away so that you can optimize and get the best learning situation possible. The basic 2D CAD, that seems to be coming along quite well. I'm seeing some students who've actually finished their work. Others, a lot of you have finished the template, starting to work on the floor plan. Some are finishing the floor plan and working on the elevations. So keep an eye on what's going on around you, because you don't want to fall behind. Don't forget too that I want you to sign off the individual skills, 5 at a time. So 5 per time, but so that other people get a chance. But you can do 5 and then come back and do some more today if that's okay, as long as you have a break in between them. So you need to be able to show some mastery of all of these skills here. And as you acquire skills, I see people using them more and more, and their CAD skills are improving. It is important with your CAD skills that you keep them up to date. You use every opportunity to use CAD. I have found that a number of students that have done this course in the past and then come back in a year's time to do their projects, and they haven't kept their CAD skills up to date, and they're seriously disadvantaged when it comes to drawing plans and things in CAD. So take every opportunity to use CAD so that it keeps your skills up to date, keeps them refreshed, and keeps you on top of your CAD game. Okay, now before next week, you should have reviewed all these drawing standard resources and got them all reviewed. In the next session later on in the week, I will give you some suggestions as what you should be doing before the next class in session 4. But make sure you've got all these standards reviewed, you know what's in them, how they work, and why, when and where, and all the questions about them. Very important that you work to standards. It will save you a lot of time in the future. So what's new on Moodle? Well, we'll have to go and have a look. That's the end of our slideshow. So let's return back to our Moodle site, and I think I've pretty much shown it all to you. I've shown you the resources and the notes, so it's pretty bog standard this week, nothing too difficult. The basic CAD is here, your assessment here, and you can see that the design process due on the 28th of August. That's when we'll have the launch, the presentations and that. So you need to be working towards that and have a good program, a good work program, so that you will achieve that, all of those things at the appropriate date and time. So let's hope that's all going well. Apart from that, yeah, nothing else really to report Moodle-wise. So let's just wind it up there. Cheers! See you!